Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, and today I'm going to be going over the best settings you can possibly use in ESO as up to date. There will be optional settings, but I'll be going over that once we come up to the options, which I would say are optional. So let's start off with video settings. I'm currently playing on PS5 at the moment, so I'm not sure if this is option on PS4 or any other console, but if you are on PS5, I would recommend playing on performance mode, because if you look there, fidelity prioritizes resolution over frame rate, whereas performance prioritizes frame rate over resolution. So that means that you'll get in higher frames per second than resolution, which is what your game looks like graphically. And then adjust screen, I'm gonna adjust that so it is, the borders are right at the edge of my TV screen. Custom scale is more like that, so I'll leave it all as it is. I think this is more to do with PS5 settings. But let's go to audio settings. I have NPC subtitles turned on. That's optional. It depends if subtitles will be displayed for NPCs or not, but I don't really think it's necessary. I have video subtitles on because if it's like a cutscene, it's important. It will give you subtitles for that cutscene. Master volume I've got at 100%, but music volume I've turned that down. And I'm also using the intro music as a Necrom. Ambience is the environmental sound. Effects volume is like sound effects. Interface is such as like buttons and windows, so I've left that mostly as default. Let's go into gameplay settings. I play on template A, but that is optional. If you change that, it will change how your button looks like. I've got vibration turned on. All of these are turned off, I think. Companion reactions I want infrequent. And you want to have this always on, as well as combat cues always on. And these two need to be always on. And then for custom colours, I've got friendly colour as green, and then enemy colour as pink. So if we show that, that's what like your heals look like if you run in a dungeon with a healer. If you test enemy, that's what like the enemy dots it will be like. I also like this to be off, because sometimes I do want to attack innocents, but if you do not want to attack innocents, I would recommend putting this as on. I like this as automatic, because it toggles whether all ground targeted abilities are cast instantly or if they require a second confirmation when the location indicator displayed. Automatic defaults each ground targeted ability to its own predefined settings. And I like companion ultimate auto cast on. Also, this is a must-have setting. Combines the items of all nearby corpses into one window when bringing up a loot window. You want to make sure you have that on. Auto loot is good because it automatically loots corpses and then like boomstones and mats when harvesting that. However, I recommend mostly putting this setting on if you pay for an ESO Plus subscription. Therefore, if you have ESO Plus, all of your mats and loot in terms of mats and all that will go into your craft bag, so it's like useful. As you can see, auto add to craft bag there, but you need to have an ESO Plus membership. So yeah, I also do like to have a visual history of loot rewards and currency you've acquired as you play. Default soul gem, I like to have it gold purchased, and that's all for gameplay options. So we're going to camera options. I do like to have assassination camera on, but these are pretty much all default. If we're going to interface, this is a must-have setting, I would say, if you do trials and dungeons, because I'd like to know the online ID, because if you need to know a mechanic where you're running with someone, or you need to know your healers to go for heals, then this is really useful in trials rather than having it as character name. Because if you have it as a character name, some people might say the online ID over the character name, because every character name is different. Whereas if you have an online ID, it will show up mine as, like, I think it's VasRaDa. For my characters, I always use this when doing trials and dungeon content and hard content where I'll be running it with a group. You want to have this on automatic because it controls the display of group revive counter. When automatic is displayed selected, the revive counter only appears when a group member revives. So these are all mostly mandatory settings. These are not. I mean, all my quest tracking is useful because it automatically tracks the quests when you accept it. But you want to make sure all of these are on. And then fade rate, I don't really know what it does, but I do like to have chat bubbles on when playing in a guild. And then nameplates, I love to have name. These are all mandatory settings in my opinion, so I would recommend putting these on if you haven't already. So nameplates on, show title on, show guild equipped tabard if you've got one. And I like to have all of these settings on, so make sure these are always on. I would recommend these are really useful. So make sure that is always as well. Health bars on as well, and I like to have it in the center. I also like to have a damage take indicator on the frame border, and I'd always put these always on. Sometimes you don't have to, but it's up to you, but I'd recommend putting these things up on because it makes the game a lot easier to understand, especially if you're a new player. It shows you how much health a boss has, how much health you have, how much health your allies and companion group members have, so it's really useful to have on. And then this displays the resurrector icon above friendly players who are dead, so this definitely wants to be on, especially if you are a healer. And then these couple of options don't really matter at the bottom, but you want to make sure you have all of these options as always. So let's go into social now. I like to have my text size large with a HUD display on, so it displays the chat within the right hand corner of the screen, so you can always see what your guild members are saying, especially if they're running trials and they put DD needed for a trial, which means damage dealer or healer or tank. So that's hugely useful if you are wanting to run a trial or need specific gear things or want to help out your guild members. For vanity filter, this depends, more like an optional setting. It's like, do you want to be able to see like swear words and bad language in chat or not? So I have that off. I like to have leaderboard notifications on so I can see if my guild members and friends have done well within a trial. I auto decline duels, but this is up to you. If you do duels, then I mean, you can turn it on or off, but these are not really anything that important. I do like to have these on because it shows stuff regarding Cyrodiil, but these are optional, but I would also say mandatory. You want to make sure you have a different colour for every single guild you're in. Therefore, when you're in a guild, because if you leave these as default colours, every single guild colour will be the same. So I'd recommend change these if you play it with friends or are considering joining a guild or in multiple guilds already. I would recommend changing the colour of each guild you're in to something different, like I have here. You don't have to use the exact colours I use, but let's recommend something you change if you do play within a guild. So let's move on to combat settings. These are your mandatory settings. Some of these are not even correct, so I might have to change some of these. So you want to have ability bar always shown, because controls the visibility of the ability bar when automatic display is selected. The ability bar will only appear in useful situations like combat and targeting an enemy. But I recommend putting this always on so you can see all the abilities you have on your front bar and back bar. This is really useful because it displays a timer on top of ability bar icons that corresponds to the duration of the effect. It's effect in most cases. So when you're doing dummy humping and going through your rotation, this is really useful because it puts a timer on the abilities such as dots, so you know when they're going to run out. So this is very useful. Also make sure this is on as well. Them two these are mostly all mandatory settings. I recommend also having lasers always show number and percentage. When automatic, make sure you have your ultimate number on so it shows you how much ultimate you have. So you know when to cast your ability and when not to. Also, I recommend having this on. I don't know why some of my settings have changed, so let me just turn this all on to make sure my settings are correct. So these are also what you would basically want to make sure everything that is on here. Some are optional, but some are not. Like, let's go through some of these. So this shows the damage of and healing amounts on your targets. It also shows the damage and outgoing damage, shows damage amounts on your targets. Outgoing damage, that shows the damage you do over time to targets. Outgoing healing shows healing amounts on your targets. That's dots for healing. That shows the crown control on your targets. Pets and companions that on your pets and companion targets. So I recommend playing these all on because it's useful. And then these are mandatory settings in my opinion. This enables a buff and debuff system. It shows buff and debuff effects on you and your target. So you want to make sure all of these are on. And that's for combat and for accessibility. I don't really have anything on there. We don't really go into that, and that's it in my opinion, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe with post notifications on so you don't miss any of my brand new content. We've got a lot more content coming out on ESO and other gaming videos, so stay tuned for that. With that all being said, I hope you all have a good day, and let me know in the comments if these settings are useful, if there's anything you would change, and any other video ideas you'd like to see on ESO or any other game in general.